keep telling myself I'm gonna fix that ending there where it says coming on in October, because it is already June. It's the end of June, and we've been going strong. This is our 34th show. My name is Dan Russo. You are watching, listening to, and otherwise enjoying Under the Covers from our page here on Facebook and YouTube. First of all, thank you so much, everybody who is watching. Secondly, whether you are watching live or in the rerun, please make sure, if you get a chance, to hit the like and subscribe button down at the bottom, whether you are on Facebook or on YouTube, to make sure that you can keep getting this quality entertainment coming to you Sundays at noon. My guest today, YONI Gordon. YONI, what is going on? How are you?
I'm just going to stop you real quick. It's YONI.
YONI, sorry. Thank you so
no.
much. And here's the thing that I was really upset about as well. That I'm glad that it's YONI and not Yanni, because there is a hockey player by the name of Yanni Gourde, who plays for the Tampa Bay Lightning, scored the only goal on Friday to beat my Islanders and knock them out of the Stanley Cup playoffs. And I was
had
like,
absolutely nothing to do with that. I didn't even know that it happened. Know nothing about hockey.
So you know, if in case you are wondering what happened, here it is. This horrible moment. Yeah. So there we go. And YONI Gordon, thank you for being here and not being that guy. I feel
it's the least I could do.
So how are you? What is going on in your life, your musical world, your life in general? How are you now that things are starting to open up? How are you kind of re-entering the world yourself?
Dan, I feel good.
Nice.
I'm ready for it. I, like a lot of people, have chosen to get vaccinated. Mm-hmm. Somehow it's a controversial choice, but here it is. I've decided to do it. And I have a show that's lined up for Wednesday, actually, in Brighton at the Farmers Market.
Awesome.
Yeah, free outdoor show, and didn't mean to slip this into a plug here right off.
No, that's important. This is
here
your
it
show.
is.
So yeah.
But
so that's Wednesday the 30th of June.
Yeah.
At the Brighton's Farmers Market.
That's right, at 4:30. And so
4:30.
To answer your question, how am I doing? I have spent, like a lot of people, the last year alone at home, sort of in this gestation period of maybe cultivating musical chops, maybe writing songs, but not exercising the muscle of getting out there and performing. That's a muscle that I've been developing and honing in on and working towards since I was 9 years old. I've been performing. And to not have that is there's a crazy echo happening.
There it is. That was my that was actually my phone. I was just trying to share it.
Yeah.
So
well, it's good to hear that it's coming in live. Sounds good.
It sounds great. Yeah, it sounds fantastic.
So
sorry.
I'm ready to
please.
reconnect with that. I'm ready to perform again. And,
yeah.
I have new songs to perform, and I'm ready for it.
That's so exciting. Now, for a lot of people, especially people who I've talked to on the show, there was almost like a fallow bit of time where it became almost like a recharging, reworking older songs. Did you find yourself, as you said, you have new songs, so was it like a burst of new songs all at once, or was it kind of like a slow burn? How did that work during this last year or so for you?
Well, I hit the ground running when the pandemic began, and I thought, like, okay, I'm going to use this time because it's only going to be 2 weeks. Like, I'm only going to be out of work for 2 weeks, so I'm just going to like record a bunch of stuff and write, and then slowly, as the shutdown kind of continued on and on and on ad infinitum, my drive towards getting things done kind of started to wane, and then we all went through this moment of a real reckoning with the racist history of this country, and it really felt like, you know what? now might not be my time to speak necessarily. Now might not be my time to sit down and write songs. I don't know that anybody is like, you know whose voice is really missing from the conversation? 41-year-old white guys. We got to get them in here. We got to hear more from them. So I decided to sit this one out. And then I would say sometime around the fall, that's when I started to try to write and consciously like get some writing done. And then it started to come more in bursts. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that. And I as a 45-year-old white guy was like, I'm just going to sit here and listen and learn and kind of support as much as I can. I think that's probably...
That's what you do.
Yeah, that's what you do. And I would like to think that good things are happening because of that, I think. So...
I'm not going to give myself credit for good things happening, but perhaps the space that it created allowed for good things to happen. Yeah, I hope
exactly.
So.
Exactly. Oh, I love that. That's so great. Do you want to start off with a song and we can come chat a little bit more? Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm going to play Song of the Summer.
It was 7 o'clock when the first of my thoughts started to drift away. Back to the arrows and slings and all the terrible things that happen every day. Between the blood and the guts, it's like a kick in the nuts, but you can shrug it off. You got it under your thumb, but don't pretend to be dumb when you can turn it off. Take it away. Hear the song of the summer starting to play. Love with the shade. Stay in my bed every night and I mean, baby going inside every night from the left and the right. I get another speech. What I don't understand is how the promise of man is always out of reach. It was 11 o'clock when the radio stopped and the air went dead. Oh, but the summer goes on just as long as the song gets stuck somewhere deep in your head. Take it away. Hear the song of the summer starting to play. Wanna stay in my bed every night and I hate. Take it away. The song of the summer started to play. Let it starts up with the coffee and cup, we start to sweat it out. But the news from your feed was like a feverish dream you can't forget about. And I could bite off my tongue or be willfully dumb to every tragedy. But as bad as it's been with the news coming in, it was worse than I was imagining. Take it away. I hear the song of the summer starting to play. Lower the shade. I wanna stay in my bed every night and all day. Take it away. Hear the song of the summer starting to play. Lower the shade. I wanna stay in my bed every night and all day. Take it away. Hear the song of the summer starting to play. Lower the shade. I wanna stay in my bed every night. Baby, you're insane.
hot damn, that was amazing. That was so good.
Sounded okay?
Oh my
Mix is
God, it
okay?
sounded amazing. This sounded so fantastic. And for those of you guys who are watching, in the chat in both Facebook and YouTube, I put there's the link to that song, Song of the Summer, and also the link to Yoni's Facebook page right there. You can see Yoni Gordoni. And now, you know what's really interesting? For the longest time, I'm like, why is there an I at the end of Gordoni? But now that I know that it rhymes, that makes so much sense. It's Yoni
Yes.
Gordoni. It's perfect. It's great.
That's right. That's my, like if I were a circus act, like flying trapeze act.
Yeah.
The great
or
Yoni Gordoni.
The great Yoni Gordoni and his flying troop of, I don't know, whatever, whatever you have a flying troop of. Yeah, that's
It
so
changes.
fantastic. It changes. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that song was so good. And
Thank you.
I do. First of all, the production is amazing and lovely, and I enjoyed it so very much. And I have a question for you because I know that you actually were putting out just that song, and then you had a whole record that you had coming out right before the pandemic. And so my question is, how or in what way do you think the shutdown kind of changed either your process of publicity or kind of like playing shows, getting it out? Where did you go? What was your twist, your turn there to your pivot, I guess? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I felt like there's never been quite as much of a dead stop to everything as there was over the last year and a half. And it really felt like I don't know how to put music out anymore. Like, I don't know what to do with this. I know how to make music, but I'm a live performer. Like, I write songs because I want to have material to do on stage in front of people and figure out how to connect the material that I have to the audience. Without that, it felt like, I don't even know what to do with this. And look, I am by no means successful. There's not anybody like wanting anything from me or like, when's the new Yoni Gordon record coming out? There's always been this self-imposed sense of momentum of like, you gotta do this, you gotta put stuff out, people are gonna forget your name, you gotta keep going. And it felt nice to just be like, no, you don't. Actually, you could just stop now because it seems like the world's ending. And it would make sense if you responded accordingly to that. And just, maybe focus on like just survival or, making sure your kid is comfortable and safe and surviving this as well as best you can. But can I curse on this show? Is that okay?
You go right ahead.
That shit's over now.
Yeah.
Now it's all about getting that momentum back, baby.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
Exactly. I mean, and are you one of the people who, as things started getting lifted, you're like, let me jump on this right now and make sure that I book 1 million shows? Or were you kind of like just taking it all as it comes in?
No, I don't think that's, you know what? I have a friend who she's in the entertainment industry in Los Angeles, and she was describing this feeling, that like super hungry, ambitious feeling where you're biting your own arm off. And I don't really like, I don't 100% know that feeling from her perspective, but I understand it, and I have lived a lot of my life like that, of like. Let me figure out how to get shows. Let me email people. Hi, I hope this email finds you well.
Right, of course. The begging, but not really trying to sound like you're begging part.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I just don't want to live that life anymore. I want to play the shows that make sense to play and get offered to me. And then I don't really want to beg to get my name out there. I want to do this in a way like it's, I've made my peace with it. I'm not so super ambitious anymore, but I want to continue living a musical life. And part of that involves, bringing this to the people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of bringing it to the people, you were doing your own kind of cover shows all for a while and during the pandemic. How did that
Yeah.
come about? I mean, how did you find the response to that? I guess what were your wins and losses on that kind of thing?
Well, I really just started it. It's Cover Tune Tuesday. It's not every Tuesday in the summer, although some people have thought that that's the case. No, it's some Tuesdays.
Some
'Cause
Tuesdays.
I cannot stick to a schedule where I'm doing something every Tuesday through the summer. That's not going to happen. But
Yeah.
some Tuesdays over the summer, I will be putting out cover tunes. And, like a lot of people, I'm a big fan of music. And there's a lot of songs that I love where I thought I could try it and maybe bring something different to it than is there in the original recorded version. And maybe something that's, maybe some color or some shading that might be interesting to listen to. Also, I am starting, just to give you behind the curtain here, like
I like this. This is great.
I'm trying to put a record out or an EP or singles or just trying to put music out sometime in the fall or winter. So I need to start getting people in the habit of knowing that like, oh, Yoni Gordon is doing things. He's got things coming out and things are happening. So this is and it's also just something to do, man. I got some free time, I could be recording some music, some covers.
Right. Oh, I love it. And because do you find that now you and I met at the Square Root, if
Yes.
I remember correctly, and
Yes.
we were playing a show there. Do you find, as your the farmers market, for instance, do you find yourself with a kind of leaning heavier on the cover songs, or do you find yourself kind of, this is what I got and I'll throw a couple covers in when you play those kind of shows, or when you play those kind of shows?
Depends on the show. Farmers markets and long, gigs where you're going to play for like 2 sets, and you're also in the phase of winning people over, where people aren't necessarily coming to see you play. I think having a couple of good cover songs in your arsenal is a wise choice as a performer. It's a lot to ask the audience to take in new information the whole entire time. And I cut my teeth playing busking, all over Boston. And at the same time as I was playing out, this is back when I was 20, I was learning music, learning how to play, learning songs, and learning how to discover covers right on the spot. Suddenly you're like, oh, this chord, that chord, I think that's, because the night or whatever, and I guess I'll just play that now. And I think the farmers market gigs, you want to have some cover tunes, but I have gotten more confident in my repertoire as the years have gone on, and I like to play my songs. I want people to hear them. I think they deserve an audience, and I want to make sure I use that time to get my name out there.
Well, I agree. I think they're great. Do you have another one that you can play for us right now?
No, that's it.
No, that's it. Okay,
I had that one.
Well, that was nice talking to you. This has been fun.
Let's try this guy here. Okay. You ready?
Something's in the night. I've been out there searching all my life. All my life. All my life. Smoke was just a smoke screen of whatever was inside. Ain't no houses burning, any fires down tonight. Signals started fading somewhere down the line. Did my best to tell myself that everything was fine. Started to remember things I never tried. I've been feeling that way all my life. All my life. All my life. All my life. And I need it tonight. 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 And I need it tonight.
Yoni Gordon, that was amazing. So good.
Thank you.
I'm guessing that was All My Life, correct?
This is correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
all right. Yeah. In fact, I'm good. I have the again. You know, it's there. People, please make sure that you can check it out. Go to Bandcamp. Go to Yoni's Facebook page. Become a friend. Become a supporter. Become a liker and subscriber and all that good stuff.
If you're watching this now and you don't follow me on Instagram, I don't know what you're doing then.
No,
what
no,
are you doing here?
your Instagram's wonderful, by the way. I'm a big fan of your Instagram. But like, it blows me away the sonic architecture that you were putting together, and it really it's incredible to me, the way you can build a song, and I just find it amazing. And you mentioned that you started off, 20 years old, busking. Did you start busking like this? Did you go out with the traditional guitar and open guitar case?
Yeah.
How did you get to this point of this kind of this sound and style that is definitely yours?
Yeah, I started very much just a strummer. Like I had a guitar, I had the Bob Dylan harmonica holder and the open guitar case, which memorably once on Newbury Street, this is back when there used to be buskers that were right by Tower Records in that little empty spot there. I was playing there middle of the day, and there was a gentleman there, you know, seeming like he was maybe a little down on his luck, but he had a pint of Cherry Garcia Ben and Jerry's ice cream, and was eating the ice cream and then taking the cherries and then flicking them into my open guitar case, which I didn't realize until I finished playing, and there was like ice cream smeared everywhere, and cherries, and juice.
That's
and which
a
there's
very strange tip. I'm not kidding.
Yeah. He didn't like cherries, evidently.
So
which
why
makes
is he literally eating Cherry Garcia?
Yeah, odd choice, but what are you gonna do?
That's amazing. Oh my goodness. And then so basically it was the cherries that pushed you to this
I thought, what other equipment can I get a bunch of ice cream on? You know,
Yeah,
let's get
right,
an iPad
exactly.
in here. Let's let pedals. No. Here's the thing. I think that, and this is a controversial opinion, but I see a lot of shows. I see a lot of people playing music on acoustic instruments, and it's good, it's nice, but it all is like occupying the same frequency. You know, if you go to see a show and it's like 3 acoustic performers, everything is just right in that range. And I feel like I don't even want to stay in that range like throughout my set. I want things to like, I want there to be dynamics. I want things to change tonally. I want there to be a song where it's like, oh, that's all electronic driven. And then I want there to be a song where it's like, I'm going to unplug and I'm just going to play acoustic guitar like right next to you so that it feels like we're just in an intimate, you know, like bedroom show or something.
Yeah.
And I think that like, I have watched great performers and I've seen like every single song that they do in a show has its own feel, its own like thing to it, and something that makes it special. And I think with the pedals and the loops, those are special. If you use them too much, it starts to devalue in specialness. So I try to do things like very sparingly and almost as though like every time you step on that phaser pedal, it's going to cost you $5. So do it economically. Don't blow through all your money. Just do it when you need it.
So it's the combination of the economically and the working with real dynamic and you know, yeah, and I really appreciate it. I kind of I jokingly am going to compare this to my children's television watching, especially now that school's over. I have a 15-year-old and a 12-year-old, and they've been watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine for the last couple of days. And the other day, I was just, yesterday it was, and I was just said, can you watch something else? Because I need a new sound in my ear. And it's not even, and it's just, yeah, and it's, you know, it's somewhat different, but I totally, it's just like, there's a certain amount of, where it, not that it turns into white noise, but it definitely has that quality of you're not getting the nuance, you're not getting the flavor. But if you focus on, like you were saying, you focus on the dynamic, you focus on, you know, using it sparingly and using it judiciously, I think that definitely has a real kind of like flavor that people will listen to and will want to listen to more of.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. Well, I think so too. And as you're, you know, as we're all re-entering, this is your normal setup that you would use at, like, say, this Wednesday at the...
Yeah, my hope is to, use this. I've got an acoustic guitar that's ready to go, and I sort of switch between the tele and the acoustic, and then have all these bells and whistles to augment things. I got my harmonicas still. I got my, you know, all my things to play with. And, you know, I mean, gear's expensive, so you may as well get your money's worth out of it.
I like that. It's not just sitting in a corner taking it, you know, taking space, collecting dust or whatever. Yeah, no, I'm looking at my pedal board that I probably haven't used in 2 years next to me right now, thinking to myself, I probably should use that stuff more often. Do you find that using the board and playing these kind of this kind of show, does it focus you or lead you towards certain songs and away from other certain songs, whether the songs themselves or the types of songs, or are you playing the same tunes that you were as a 20-year-old busker? I know the answer is no, but I'm curious to
You
to see
know,
where you have come.
I think I'm old enough now that I can dip back into the catalog that I had when I was in my 20s and be like, yeah, I think it's time to like revisit this song and do it in a more interesting way. Yeah, no, it does change. I mean, um, like I was saying, I was really a strummer before. Like every song I was playing, it was like dun, 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 kind of same strumming, and I was a really I've always had a lot of gusto when I perform, and I've always I have a very loud voice or can have a very loud voice. I've learned to sort of look for songs that will allow me to sing a little bit softer. Right now I'm on a real kick of listening to a lot of newer soul and R&B music, and that's sort of informing a lot of the music that I'm making and a lot of the music that I want to sing on stage. I'm older, I can't play the same kind of ferocity and volume as I did when I was younger. So,
do you find yourself, you see you're not playing with the ferocity but there's still some kind of, some kind of dynamic. There's still some kind of, drive behind it. It's not. Maybe it's a more controlled chaos. Is that kind of what I'm looking for? Is that maybe
I would hope
the direction?
Yeah. I want things to be. Here's something I have no patience for or tolerance for. Is like there's a genre of singer-songwriter that's like sad white guy, and I'd say Elliott Smith is like the tops of that. You can't really do it much better than that, and I'm not. That's just not my milieu, though. That's not my. I just don't have. I can't like mumble. I can't be sad all the time on stage. I have a hard time figuring out how to connect to an audience that way. It's not a mode that I want to be in. So there is still some fire that's burning when I play, always. There's always going to be fire. I think I'm a better musician than I was back then, and I've sort of approached music less from a standpoint of like, I have this burning thing that I need to say to you. Listen to it, and more of like, how can I put together a compelling, interesting show for you? Like, if you're going to give me 45 minutes of your time, I am going to work hard to genuinely, honestly put together a show for you, because that's what you deserve. You're going to do this heavy lifting by paying attention to me. That's more work, quite honestly, than what I'm doing. I've had more time to cultivate this skill too. You don't know what you're getting into if you're coming to see a performer who you maybe haven't seen before. It's a lot of work. It's a lot to ask of an audience. So I want to make it feel like I've worked just as hard, and I'm gonna honor your commitment here by putting on a show, like really thinking about what a show can be.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing, and I love your perspective on that. And I've often said, especially that, if there's no audience, there's no show. Like, and you can play a show, you can. People are like, oh, I don't play music. I'm like, but that's just as important, is going to a show and being there and be able to, as you said, give time, give attention, work hard. I think that's a really good. We often think of, when we, at least myself, when people go to shows, I found a lot of people just are like sitting there and going with the, okay, I'm here to accept what you're going to give me, but you're you don't have the stage show of U2 or Muse, or there's no fireworks or anything, but you still want to present a good, thoughtful show, and I think that's admirable and really, really a fantastic way of looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's people who are professional storytellers, who go on the Moth, and they will put on a show for you, and they will tell stories, and all they need is just a stage and a microphone, and that's it, and that's a show. Mm-hmm. they're going to make that scene. I mean, look at any like theater production where they don't have sets. It's a black box theater. It's still a show. You are filling in the blanks that you need to create the scenery, but they're creating the atmosphere and they're giving you the space to be able to do that, to engage you that way. And you can do the same thing on stage as a musician too. Like you can make it feel like, oh, we are at a U2 concert at the Square Root. Like,
Right.
I know we're at Square Root, but like it feels like a stadium show right now. And there's an energy in this room that's just like, yeah.
Yeah, I love that energy. That energy is so fantastic. Yeah. And we have a couple of great comments here. I put one up before as we were talking about it. The rest of those tips when you were looking for a new case that's not covered in cherry and ice cream. And yeah, no, I definitely there's a real true thought and reflection that I appreciate. And in fact, even in your cover of your latest record, and I can share this with the people, that your cover, you're wearing a jacket, and the jacket is specifically, you even mention where it's from, and it's from Los Angeles, and it's a Mexican. You know, is this part of your heritage? Is this you know, I mean, mariachi music is amazing and fantastic and so incredible. Do you find that you have a connection either musically or historically or any other way to that kind of music, or is it just like an inspiration for you?
I'm glad you asked. That's a good question, and one that I'm ready for it. When I conduct the interviews in my mind, I've already been asked this one, so I'm like ready for it. But yeah, so I grew up in Los Angeles, California. That jacket is a mariachi jacket, or more specifically, it's part of what's called the charro suit, which is the suit that mariachi wear. I heard a lot of mariachi and ranchero music growing up because that's what's on the radio in Los Angeles. I've always loved it. I've always enjoyed it. I'm not a practitioner of it, but what really resonates for me is that post-revolutionary Mexico, it used to be that on a hacienda there would be a live mariachi band that would be sort of the house band for the hacienda. If you were a wealthy landowner, you had people living there working the land, and you also had a mariachi band because this is before recorded music. After the revolution, those hacienda owners were no longer able to keep mariachi musicians employed in a specific location. So mariachi bands started becoming itinerant, moving all around Mexico and performing for free because that's what they do. That's their job. Their job is to be musicians. And so they committed themselves, in my mind, almost to like a like Don Quixote-esque existence where you're nobly going around and you're plying your trade just as you always have done. That really resonated with me. And when I started getting ready to put out that last record, Fearless Moral Inventory, I started really thinking about how I look on stage. And you see a lot of performers that are wearing jeans and t-shirt, and that looks great, it's cool, it's an iconic look, but I wanted to be wearing something almost like a uniform, so that if you walked in and you saw me, you'd be like, oh, that guy's wearing the musician uniform. He's a musician. That's the uniform of a musician. So I was looking for things that would connote that.
I love that.
And also, it's just a beautiful piece of clothing. Hopefully, it's not culturally insensitive to wear it. But if it is, then
I feel like
I'm open to hearing that.
As a musician honoring musicians, I feel like it's a good choice, and in fact, and I also appreciate that you have the Overita, the website on there, like, hey, if you're in Los Angeles, go here to get this awesome clothing. That's,
yes.
And I feel like that's such a good promotion of, actually cultural sensitivity, I think, in that. And so, as a musician who lives to play music, can we hear another song? Man, so good on the segues right now. This is like 3 for 3 with my segues. I'm gonna pat myself on the back. It's gonna be
Let's see here. I'm gonna play a song that I used to cover when I was in my 20s,
nice.
and that I've recently revisited and kind of rearranged how I play it. And let's see. It'll take me a second to get it all going here.
Say you'll stand by your man. Tell me something, don't understand. You say you love me, that's a fact. Then you left me, said you fell trapped. There's some things you can't explain away, but the heartaches with me till this day. Didn't stand by me, no, not at all. Didn't stand by me. No way. All the times we felt close, I remember these things the most. I've seen all my dreams come tumbling down. Now I can't be happy without you around. But alone I'll keep the wolves out, babe. But there's only one thing I can say. You didn't stand by me, no, not at all. By me, no way. You must explain why this must be. Did you lie when you spoke to me? Didn't stand by me, no, not at all. Didn't stand by me, no way. So like I was saying, I cut my teeth busking outside of Little Stevie's House of Pizza. Back when I was about 20 years old, this was the only place that I knew that was open very, very late at night. And like a lot of 20-year-olds, I was staying up very late at night. I had a little apartment out on Hemingway Street. I shared it with many cockroaches and rodents. And rather than staying there lonely every night, I would take my guitar and I would go down to Little Stevie's House of Pizza. And there I would ply my trade. I was a hungry young man. I wouldn't take no for an answer. And if you've ever been to Little Stevie's House of Pizza back in the year 2000, you know that that line would stretch all the way out that front door, giving me a naturally very captive audience of drunk assholes. I saw many fights break out there. I saw many people grabbing ass out there. But that's where I went every night with my guitar, and that's where I got good. Now I need a job that don't pay. I need new clothes, need somewhere to stay. But without all of these things I can do, without your love, won't make it through. Oh, but you don't understand my point of view. I suppose there's only one thing to do. Didn't stand by me, not at all. Didn't stand by me, no way. Didn't stand by me, no, not at all. Didn't stand by me, no way. You must explain why this must be. But did you lie when you spoke to me? Didn't stand by me, not at all. Didn't stand by me, no way. Didn't stand by me, not at all. Didn't stand by me, no way.
Woo!
It's a little rough. It was a little rough, a little rocky. I made it.
It's rock and roll, right? It's I think it worked. It was great.
Yeah, good.
Yes, in the comments, wait until I get sponsors I can have segues about. Speaking of Shell Motor, how about more of them silky smooth vocal stylings? That's a good one. In case you guys are watching, please make sure you check out Yoni's Instagram, instagram.com, Yoni Gordoni, and check that out as well. There's mention in the chat about Little Stevie's and the health code violations. Is that a thing that you... maybe
I wouldn't be shocked.
As somebody who did not go to college, I feel like I missed out on not going to college in this area. I moved up here after college. What brought you to Boston? Speaking of Stevie's and everything surrounding it from Los Angeles.
Yeah. I'm going to give you the full story here. When I was in high school, I wanted to come to the East Coast. I wanted to move to New York City. This is where my brother was. This is the city that I felt like was going to be my home. This is where I was supposed to be as a young musician. I was also very, very, very into like CBGB's era punk rock. So I felt like New York is where I gotta go. I applied to 8 schools throughout the East Coast, and I got into none of them. I got waitlisted at one of them. I got into none of the schools. So then I applied to 8 more schools. I got into all of them. And I went on a big, long tour of all these different colleges to see which one was gonna be the right fit. And by the time the tour was winding down, we went to go look at the last school on the list, which was Clark University in Worcester, Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. And I really had no intention of going to Worcester, Massachusetts whatsoever. But by the time we got there, I just was so burnt out on the whole experience. And Worcester, or Clark, looked the way that I thought a college should look. Like there were brick buildings and ivy growing on things. And then down the street from the college, there was an Arby's. And I thought, I like an Arby's curly fry. So if I'm gonna spend 4 years somewhere, you could do worse than going for where there's an Arby's French fry. So I was just like, all right, Clark is gonna be it. I'm gonna go to Worcester. And I went to that Arby's exactly one time in those 4 years. Everyone told me like, oh, Worcester, well, you'll be close to New York. I don't know what metric they were using. You'll be
closer
like
than
right
California,
there.
Yeah. Definitely
You were closer than California.
Yeah,
That's true. But by no means was I close. And then I started playing with some musicians who lived out in Boston. And I moved out here after college to play with them, play in a band with them.
Nice.
And I've been here with an 8-year sojourn in New York in between.
Okay. Are there things that you miss about LA that you're kind of like, oh, I really wish that were here as well?
Produce. The produce.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, you have an avocado in California, and it's then you come here and you're like, well, I don't know what they sell at the store that are called avocados, but I don't think that's what they are. California still feels like home to me. I mean, when I get off the plane at LAX, it still feels like, oh yeah, This is my home. This is a part of me. I mean, the weather. Come on. The weather, guys.
Well, this is something that I grew up in New York City, and I have been living in Boston for 20 years. So it's kind of this is the only weather I've known, other than traveling and visiting someplace for 2 or 3 days at a time. So I would imagine that the weather is a shock, or a cultural phenomenon that only exists in the Northeast sometimes.
I mean, I'm on board with it now. I mean, I've been here long enough that I can appreciate it. I enjoy it. But then you go to California and you're just like, oh, why would you live anywhere else?
Well, I've never been to California, but I am planning. My brother's getting married in San Diego in November, so that's going to be our first planned kind of trip outside of the pandemic. So it's going to be interesting and fun, and I will probably never want to leave San Diego from what you're explaining.
Either that or you'll hate it,
Right, because 75 and sunny all the time is terrible. But yeah, no, I find that so interesting and so great. And now that you've been here for a while, you kind of musical roots, other roots, and this is, it's that weird kind of like not really home but home kind of feel to it. Like it's a place I'm imagining that which you are feeling comfortable and kind of you're happy-ish here. I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah.
What was your sojourn into New York like? That's I'm curious about that as well. I feel like one of the things that I missed out on was being a 20-something-year-old in New York. I left after college to move up here, and I've been here since. And I feel like there's a part of me that wants to be 27 in New York, even though that's never going to happen. What was that like as a musician, as a human being? What was that for you?
I also didn't have the experience of being there as like a 27-year-old and living that life. I moved there when I was a little bit older, and I was married and I had a child, and lived in Brooklyn. It's an incredibly charming, in an incredibly charming neighborhood, and I feel like I had a hard time musically. I mean, there were certain things that I appreciated about living in New York and certain opportunities that have come up in my life that I would not have gotten if I wasn't in New York at the right time and played a show with the right people. And, the only like hired gun guitar work that I've done on bigger tours has been because I played at like a show, and then this person was also at the show, and then that connected me to these people, and then I got offered, a spot on a tour.
That's awesome.
That was nice. Yeah, that's a great thing. I don't think that would happen necessarily otherwise, but I did miss the feeling of playing a show at Great Scott in like a nice mid-sized room that's warm, where the sound is warm, but also the emotion is warm. You've got 4 bands and everyone knows each other and everyone's friends and everyone's going to stick around for each other's sets. That doesn't happen in New York quite as much. It's sort of like, we're going to book 6 bands to play tonight, and everybody's going to play their 25-minute set, and then that's it. Everyone's going to get the fuck out, and then a new crowd's going to move in, and nobody cares what you're doing.
Right.
It's very, there's very little community that I found there. But there's other opportunities that sprang up that like I say, I wouldn't have gotten otherwise.
Yeah, that's totally fair. And I feel like that was one of the things, especially, going to college in New York too, trying to play shows, we definitely had that experience of the, play the show and, you're supposed to stay, but no one stays. And like half your friends leave and you're like, but I have to stay for the other bands. But, it's a weird kind of, there's, it's competition, not community. I think that's might be the way to put it.
Yeah.
Although you do hear stories of bands like what springs to mind, the Strokes or the Hold Steady or other bands who had somehow figured out how to have that community there.
Yeah. Well,
which is good.
the one connection that I made was with a guy named Franz Nikolai, who plays in the Hold
He plays the Hold Steady. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And we played on a show together, and then he recommended me for a thing, and I got hired to go on this tour, and then he hired me to play on his record, and I went on tour with him.
Oh, that's so cool.
You're correct with the Hold Steady.
That's awesome. That's really cool because I happen to be a big Hold Steady fan, and they seem like good dudes too. Like and I'm glad they are as successful as they are.
I only know Franz, but he's a sweetheart of a man.
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, maybe someday you can play a show with the Hold Steady, and I can play guitar for you or something.
There you go.
But speaking of which, you have one more song?
Yeah. All right, we're gonna do one more. Let's do. You know what? I'm gonna do a new. No, I'm not gonna do a new song. I'm gonna do an old song.
Do it.
So, in the pandemic, I did remastered and re-released an older record of mine called Country for the Timid. And then, so this is one of those tunes that's from that record, sort of a dark album. But it's available on Spotify, all remastered and sounding nice now.
That broken bone, with the same look on my bones. How much more can one man take till he wears a hole right through his faith? Oh my Lord. Open home, ain't no child gets left alone. Took the look from my face, left the color, the creed and race. Oh my Lord, oh my Lord, oh my Lord, Lord, Lord. He who hears these prayers must keep his word. Oh my Lord, oh my Lord, Lord, Lord. He who hears these prayers must keep his word. No money down, ain't no warning, ain't no sound. Took the skin from my fine teeth and exposed the underneath to my Lord. Water churns, ooh, the fuel that fire burns. To the candle, to the flame, as we kneel and speak his name. Oh my Lord, oh my Lord, oh my Lord, Lord, Lord. He who hears these prayers must keep his word. Oh my Lord, oh my Lord, Lord, Lord. He who hears these prayers must keep his word. Setting sun, going down before the work is done. May it shine again tomorrow just the same. Everyone stranded underneath the sun, praying that their prayers ain't being made in vain.
That was awesome. I love that run, that little little guitar run there. That's so cool.
Thank you.
Oh man.
That's my tune to play when I want to show off.
Yeah.
I'm a good guitar player.
I know what I'm doing. I kind of, yeah. Yoni Gordon, man, that was so fantastic. Thank you so much for being here. First of all, thank you for your time, for your thoughtfulness, for your amazing guitar work, your great songs, your sonic architecture. I love that term. I totally am stealing that. That is how Jimmy Page described The Edge one time in an interview, and I've kept that in the back of my head to any time that I get a chance to use that. And I think this is not only appropriate, but it is wonderful to see what you were putting together and how you're doing it, and I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody who has been watching. Don't forget, once I hit end broadcast, you can share this, you can check it out, you can send it to all your friends. You can subscribe, on Facebook and on YouTube. Classy stuff, fun times. Well done. Thank you, Afsha. He is not wrong. Thank you for watching, Afsha. Thank you everybody else who's watching this, whether you're watching this live or watching this on the replay. I appreciate it. Yoni, thank you for your time. This is great.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Oh my God,
this
this
is
is
a
so
blast.
much fun.
Yeah.
This is so much fun. And everybody, if you are in the Brighton area, the Brighton Farmers Market at 4 o'clock on Wednesday.
4:30.
4:30 on Wednesday. Make sure you follow Yoni on all of the social media. Check out the Bandcamp. That's the link for Country for the Timid, which the song Yoni just played it on. Make sure to check out his Instagram, Yoni Gordoni, on Instagram and on Facebook as well. As some of you are watching this on Facebook right now, you can just click that link and like and subscribe to Yoni as well. Find out where he's playing after Wednesday's show, and also to make sure that you know when he's playing, whether it's the Square Root or someplace else in the near future. I know that Great Scott does not exist as it does in our memory, but maybe sometime in the future it will exist someplace else and we can play a show there, and that would be great.
Yeah. You'll catch me outside. I'll be somewhere. You'll see me. I'm around town.
I look forward to it. I'm going to end the broadcast. Yoni, if you want to stick around for a second, that would be great. Sure. Thank you once again, everybody. Thank you, Yoni. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I feel like I've said that, and I will. Next week is I'll actually be away next week, so we won't have a show. But the week after, on July 11th, we will be back with a guest from Salt Lake City. I'm very excited about that. Have a lovely day, everybody. Enjoy. Stay safe. Get vaccinated. Peace out.